All right, all right. Hey, Cynthia, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Doing well. Brett Caldwell, how are
Yep,
you?
yep, yep, yep. How
Good.
we doing?
Things are good.
All
Things are
right.
great.
Well, that I like to start the conversation that way. Like, if this is the industry update in Northwest Georgia, how do we feel about real estate in Northwest Georgia?
Awesome.
Awesome.
I'm great.
Tell me more.
It's going well. I haven't really, I hear slow down, slow down, slow down, but I'm not experiencing slowdown. So that is awesome. We're still having multiple offers. Some properties still over asking. I'm about to show one today that they have well over asking on. So that's good to know.
Okay, good. Matt, what would you say?
I would say, I would say that I'm getting a lot more feedback across the board that they are feeling the impact and a little bit of a slowdown over the last 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, that's, some people like Cynthia say they don't feel it and their activities are still ramped up. And then some people are like, whoa, I hit a wall. So it's all over the board. It's kind of like our data. And it's no one way or the other. It's a little mix.
Yeah, let's jump into that data real quick.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this. This is Bartow County. And we only closed 24 units over the last 7 days. And I think most people might freak on that number. Yet remember, the 4th of July holiday was disruptive on that number. And I just like to remind people, like, hey, in real estate, our calendar in the school calendar and the holiday calendar, it drastically affects our real estate business. And in the summertime now, we've got, obviously we've always had Memorial Day and Labor Day on the either end of the summer, but now you've got Juneteenth, which is a sometimes 3-day holiday. You got July 4th, which is sometimes a 3-day holiday, right in the middle of it. So now you've got 4 3-day holidays throughout the summer, and it disrupts that natural flow of real estate. So when you're looking at numbers, I think it's important to kind of pay attention this week to realize,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not going to trust these numbers highly because the 4th of July has probably disrupted it a little bit. Does that make sense?
100% agree. And Brett, I'd scroll down because Bartow looks a little bit different with this chart than the other two counties we're going to look at. And Cynthia's going to talk to us about Gordon and whatnot. But
Yeah.
that gap looks a little different than what you're about to see.
This is a big gap right here. Like, the active inventory in Bartow County is continuing to grow. Look at the peak of where we're at today. And if you follow my mouse across the page, we haven't had this kind of active inventory in Bartow County since we started tracking.
Yep.
And what I'm paying attention to is, can we see a downward trend yet? And maybe if you look here, there's a little bit of a downward trend, but it's pretty consistent with maybe a little bit down. We're watching it, right? That's the important thing, and that's where the shift is coming. If we go to Gordon County, Cynthia, what would you add here? 26 active listings, 13 closings. The graph
It,
looks a little different, no?
it does look a little different. I think we're still doing well. I think we experienced a little bit of a scare for people, but then on the other side of that, I've had a lot of calls, and other agents I hear have had a lot of calls saying we're ready to sell because we want to get rid of this inventory just in case. So that's
Yeah,
what, yeah, yeah. So I think we're seeing a lot of that as well. And then interest
awesome.
rates coming down just a little bit, I think have helped people jump back in and get a little more confident.
Perfect. In Paulding County, 42 from 96 closings. Look at that. That's a huge difference over
Huge.
a huge difference. But like I said, I'm not going to freak. I want to see what this number is going to look like when Steven, our
Yeah.
cyberbacker, pulls it next week. Because you can go back. Where was Juneteenth? Right in here. It disrupted a little bit. Where was Memorial Day? It was right here. you can kind of see the difference, right? So too early to tell, but at the end of the day, look at the gap in inventory in Paulding County right now. It's growing, which 6 months ago we were crying about it, Cynthia. Now we're like, oh, whoa, slow down, can't get it perfect. And then of course, Floyd County, we've got 28 new listings and only 7 closings compared to 23 a week ago. Yet there's not a big gap in Floyd County. Their inventory's tightening a little bit or following the trend line. So it's very interesting. And it's just a great example, guys, of real estate is a local business, and what our stats look like in Floyd compared to Paulding, compared to Bartow or Gordon are very different stats in all 4 counties, right?
For sure.
What would y'all add?
I thought, when Cynthia made the point that the phone's ringing a little more about, hey, I'm looking to offload property. That's kind of the narrative we get in the media, the bigger picture, right? The sky could be falling soon. Things are changing soon. I saw we're going to go through a few of those articles today, but sometimes that makes the phone ring, and that's an opportunity to have a real conversation if now is the right time to offload that property. And if it is, it's a great thing. If it's not, you can have a good conversation, and vice versa. We're having those same conversations on the buy side with mortgage rates, right? So I thought that was a good point, Cynthia. And I think our phones are ringing a little more with properties that are looking to be moved because of scarcity and fear factor around that. So
yeah, I definitely agree. I've had it happen personally.
So there was an article today on Inman, and I'll pull it up real quick. It said, homebuyers are canceling deals at highest rate since start of COVID. Have y'all experienced that?
I really haven't had a lot of that. What I have had a lot of are appraisal issues. I'm doing several VA loans currently, and getting them out has ended up causing delays and ended up in some terminations. However, I haven't had anyone really terminate over the interest rate at this point.
Wow. Yeah,
I think it's this 15%. They're saying in June 2022, 50% of homes that went under contract fell through. I think it's the interest rates. I think it's the appraisals. I think it's buyer's remorse or fear. And Cynthia, if agents had great agents like yourself,
yep,
they would have that counsel.
That's right.
And I think it's our opportunity as a leadership team to raise our agent skills level up around how to give them the advice. But I also think it's an honor to be in business with people like yourself that are already have this skill set to kind of coach those people through those tough moments, right?
Right.
The other article I wanted to bring up, Matt, and then if you got something else you wanted to add, contingency is coming back. And I think a lot of people think of the word contingency like, hey, I got to sell my house before I buy my next one. But really, an appraisal is a contingency. Financing is a contingency. When the hyper seller market of yesterday, where, the seller called all the shots and removed any obstacles out of the transaction, I think we're going to see it come back to probably more normal, which I think is a good thing, even for listing agents, because it's a little scary to be selling real estate with nothing, no contingency, nothing. But I definitely think that'll start to come back into play. What would y'all add?
I agree with that. And I have seen and heard more buyers asking for even half closing or something. And that's why, and everybody's freezing like, what? But sellers are giving it. Some sellers are actually giving it. So I do agree with you. And it's good because people really do need an opportunity to inspect a property versus jumping with both feet and run into things that were just unforeseen and could cause a big problem.
Yeah, I would add on to that too, Brett. We've had tons and tons of agents come to us and say, hey, we got 4 offers on a property. We were used to getting 20, but what's really cool about that, Matt, is we got 3 investor offers that stunk, and we got 1 offer that went above asking price and waived contingencies. And because we had multiple offers, and because that agent was not educated and in the know about what was going on for the most part, and because they had a buyer that had lost out for months, they went all in and threw, probably $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 more than they had to at that property. And I've probably heard that a dozen times over the last 2 weeks from our listing agents on a lot of that going on. And I think that just speaks to the fact to make sure as agents we're staying up to date, asking the right questions of the listing agent we're putting offers on, and seeing if that demand is really where it is, because most people aren't having these conversations as agents.
Right.
And most people were thinking 3, 4, 5 months ago, is even 1 month ago is where we're at. And it's changing so fast that you can really make a difference in your buyer's capability of getting into a property at the right price.
There you go.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yep. Cynthia, I just want to ask you, what conversations are you having out there with consumers right now? What's the biggest message that you're sharing? What objections are you getting? And how are you handling those?
The biggest thing is interest rates. Well, and they've come down a little, so that's helped some. But hey, like, I can't buy. What if it's too much? And what I tell them is, well, in the market a few months ago, you were buying the 20, 30,000. It was appraising in most cases. Some cases you had to bring cash, but if it appraised, your payments were really going up approximately the same amount anyway as it was with a higher interest rate. So it's really no different. In addition to, it's a great time to buy still. Everything's going well. And if interest rates rise in the future, wouldn't you want to jump in now?
Yeah, I love that. The other way I've heard that put is, oh man, the interest rates are have gone up 2 percentage points since, I wanted to buy a month and a half ago, two months ago. And that I don't want to buy anymore, Cynthia. And a great objection handler I've heard from that is, okay, well, 2 months ago, you were bringing $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 above price to cash the close. And at this point, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can get a more reasonable loan value and not have to bring that extra money. So would you rather have $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in your pocket, or pay an extra 2% on a loan over 30 years?
Yes. Great point.
And Matt,
Yes.
that's a great objection handler. And one of the other things that we're telling them too is that, think about it. Okay, the interest rates right now are top 5 or low 6s. Now, if it goes up to 7 or 8, aren't you glad you got in at 6?
Yeah.
And then if it goes down to 4, you can just refinance. And then you won't have to be like everybody else waiting for it to go down to 4. And then you got to start competing like we were doing 2, 3, 4 months ago. So let's go ahead and get your house now, and then we'll adjust, when we need to.
I love that. I think that's a big saying going around. I don't know who said it first, but it's marry the house, date the rate, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
So
I actually think Sean Rawls.
it was Sean Rawls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that. Here's the encouragement is you need these little things in your back pocket, right? You need to have, hey, do you want to pay 50,000 cash or pay 2% in interest rate? Do you want to marry the house and date the rate, or you want to just pay somebody else mortgage for the next 2 years? Because these little analogies and these little sayings are a part of the scripts and dialogues that are going to move you to professionalism and success and thriving and all this stuff. And professionals know there's opportunity in every market. Amateurs will sit around and try to find it or talk about it, right? So I think the biggest part of the success in all this is being a professional and being able to coach, consult people to opportunity, but being able to find it on the front end, right? And I've said since day one, Matt, we've talked about this. I think some of the biggest opportunity in real estate in Atlanta is in this Northwest Georgia area. And I think there's some pockets in south of Atlanta, and I think this Northwest Georgia area is really the future of real estate in Metro Atlanta, and that's opportunity in itself, right? So I guess, Cynthia, that I'll throw you this one last big question. Where's the opportunity? What do you see as a top producer in the marketplace as opportunity right now?
I honestly think it's everywhere, but I will say we have a lot of undeveloped land here that we have a lot of new construction moving in, a lot of homes opening up, and resale's great as well. We have a lot of people coming in from out of state, but I think there's just so much of this area that's undeveloped that it just opens up a ton of opportunity for people to come into.
I love it. I love it. I think I would just challenge anybody listening to this update of the recording that, you know, we talked about in the shift of Get Real, Get Right. You got to do a shift in your mind first. So then the second shift that actually happens is in the activity that you start to do. Do you see the opportunity, and are you committed to winning? And if you're committed to winning and finding that opportunity, nothing's going to get in your way. And you know, I just think it's go time, it's pro time, it's go make a big difference in somebody's wealth building opportunities right now.
Yeah.
So rock and roll, guys.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Thank you. Have a
Have a
great
good
day.
one.
Thanks, you guys. I'm so sorry I got on so late. I was trying to find this email.
All good.
You
Thanks, man.
record them. All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.